Think back for a moment to breakfast when you were a kid. The kitchen table, the sound of spoons hitting cereal bowls, maybe the smell of toast popping up or bacon sizzling in the pan. Back then, breakfast wasn't just about eating. It was a little moment of comfort before the day began. And along the way, there were foods that made mornings feel special. Some were colorful, some were clever, some were just plain fun. But over time, they quietly disappeared from the shelves, leaving only the memories. Today, we're looking back at 10 forgotten American breakfast foods that disappeared. In the 1950s, Post decided to brighten up plain cornflakes by sprinkling them with sugar crystals. They called it cornfetti, and when you poured it into a bowl, it really did look like a little party. Kids loved the sweetness and the sparkle, and parents thought it was just cheerful. But by the mid-60s, it slipped away as newer cereals with mascots and marshmallows stole the spotlight. For those who remember it, cornfetti was the kind of cereal that could turn an ordinary morning into something fun. If you were around in 1985, you might remember Kellogg's OJs. The idea was bold, cereal that tasted like orange juice. The box was bright, the cowboy mascot was charming, and it felt new. But when families tried it, the flavor just didn't quite work. Most kids wanted orange juice in a glass, not on their cereal. Within a year, it was gone. Still, if you ever had a spoonful, you probably never forgot that strange, tangy taste. Picture this. It's the late 60s, you're running late for school, and your mom hands you what looks like a candy bar and says, "That's your breakfast." Carnation's instant breakfast bars promised all the nutrition of a meal in one neat little package. Chocolate, strawberry, flavors kids already loved. But the taste didn't quite live up to the promise, and they quietly disappeared. Even so, they planted the idea that breakfast could be quick, portable, and on the go, something we see everywhere today. This one came in a tiny box, so small, it almost looked like a sample size. Kellogg's Concentrate, released in the 60s, was all about nutrition. A little went a long way. Parents appreciated it, but kids weren't exactly lining up for a bowl. No fun shapes, no prizes, no mascots, just serious flakes. By the late 70s, it was gone. But for families who ate it, Concentrate was remembered as the cereal that promised health in every bite, even if it wasn't the most exciting. Now this one still makes people smile. Waffle Crisp tasted like warm waffles with maple syrup, packed into little crunchy bites. The commercials had those funny little grandmas making waffles, and kids adored it. Saturday mornings with cartoons and Waffle Crisp just felt right. But like so many cereals, sales dropped, and it vanished from shelves in the early 2000s. It's come back a few times, but nothing feels quite like that first box. Before Pop-Tarts ruled the toaster, there were Danish go-rounds. Swirled pastries filled with fruit. They looked homemade and felt a bit fancy. But there was one problem: they didn't toast well. They'd break apart, burn, or stick in the toaster. By 1976, Kellogg's gave up on them. Still, for kids who ate them warm before school, go-rounds felt like a little bakery treat at the kitchen table. The 70s were full of wild cereal mascots, but none were quite like the Freakies. Each box came with a whole crew of little cartoon creatures: Goody Goody, Cowmumble, and more. The cereal itself was just sweet puffs, but the characters made breakfast feel like playtime. Kids collected the figures, memorized their names, and felt like part of the Freakies world. By the early 80s, they were gone, but for a while, mornings felt a little more imaginative thanks to those funny little monsters. Here was a cereal that didn't even try to be fun. With a name like Product 19, it sounded more like something from a science lab. Launched in 1967, it promised every vitamin and mineral you could need in one bowl. Parents bought it, but kids didn't care much for it. Compared to the colorful cereals around it, Product 19 just felt too serious. After decades of quietly sitting on shelves, it finally disappeared in 2016. This one was less about the flavor and more about the story. In the 70s, General Mills introduced two rival cereals, Baron Von Redberry and Sir Grapefellow. One was berry, the other grape, and they battled each other in ads. It was fun and silly, but the cereals themselves didn't win too many fans. Both were gone within a few years. What people really remember is the playful rivalry on the boxes, not the taste in the bowl. And finally, Tang, Most people remember it as the drink astronauts took to space, but in the 60s and 70s, Tang was sold as the perfect breakfast drink. Just add a spoonful to water, and you had orange juice without the peeling or squeezing. Moms loved it, kids loved the sugary flavor. But by the 80s, families returned to real juice, and Tang became more of a nostalgic treat than a daily drink. Still, for many, one sip brings back mornings at the kitchen table. Breakfast has always been more than food. It's the sound of the house waking up, the smell drifting from the kitchen, and the little traditions that made mornings feel safe. These forgotten foods may be gone from the shelves, but they're still alive in old commercials, faded photos, and in the stories we tell each other. So, do you remember any of these? Did you ever drink Tang at breakfast? Or taste that strange orange-flavored cereal? I'd love to hear your memories down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this trip back through time, make sure to like, subscribe, and join us again as we keep flipping through the pages of America's past. Until next time, this has been American Rewind.